we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet to share these conversations on the Vegan Compass podcast.
We extend our respect to elders past, present and emerging, as well as any of our listeners and guests. Hello and welcome to the Vegan Compass podcast, unveiling truths, inspiring change.
We're your hosts, Rick Allport and Mackenzie Cross.
In each episode, we bring you meaningful conversations with vegan changemakers that remind us progress is possible, even in a world full of bad news.
Hello, welcome back to the Vegan Compass podcast. It's so good to have you with us for another episode. And I just want to take a moment to thank you all so much for your support of the show. Every time you leave a comment on social media, on YouTube or any of the podcast platforms, it's something that really gives us a lot of motivation to keep going, because sometimes it kind of feels like we're talking into a bit of an echo chamber. So it's really nice to have that engagement with our audience, and thank you so much. We are very excited to be speaking with Jakob Guy today, but first, hello Rick, and how are you?
I am very well, thank you, Mackenzie. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Yep.
We're just saying that it's evening one for all of us, so we're a bit tired after a full day. But
I actually like the evening ones because the morning ones means I have to get up early, and I'm not a really good morning person.
I think we're opposites.
Yeah.
All right, kick us off.
Yeah, look, I'm really excited about this. We've both been fans of this young gentleman for quite a while now, and it's really fantastic to be able to interview him on the podcast. And we did see him at the Animal Rights Forum. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to catch up with him because it was so busy, but yeah, it was so cool that he could be there. But let's get into it. Jakob, who are you and what do you do?
Hello, honoured to be here and to talk with you guys, first of all. My name is Jakob, otherwise known as Humane Vision on the internet, as most people probably know me. I probably describe myself as like a vegan content creator, activist, really I think the lines kind of blur in that space. And I just create content that brings awareness to veganism and the reality of animal agriculture, and I try and put as much attention as I possibly can through social media onto these important topics and issues, so as many people as possible can learn and be educated about it, because I think it's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you just answered my second question as well, which is, explain a little bit about what you do for anyone who doesn't follow you. But that's a pretty succinct summary there. So I'm curious, do you see yourself as an activist, as an artist, or I guess like a social commentator? How do you see yourself, or do those lines kind of blur for you?
Yeah, I think they blur a bit. In my head, for some reason, I think of an activist as like a guy on the street, just like talking to people. That's my envisionment of an activist. But obviously there's all different forms of activism. I think in terms of my content, it's probably more, I kind of said it there, but I think I'm probably more of like a content creator, but I focus on veganism because I really I've always been really into unique content that no one's ever seen before. If I can create something from nothing and have an impact on people through that, I think that's really, really cool. But obviously I do pretty much just focus on animals, so I guess it's a blurry line between the content and activists. But in my view, whenever someone says an activist, I just imagine someone out on the street doing activism stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting because in my mind, it's activism, but on social media. So it's interesting how, we can all see it in different ways. But yeah, it's definitely, social media blurs so many lines, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. And it really is an effective, in this day and age, it's a very effective form of activism. Of course, when I was early in the activism scene, there wasn't this whole social media push. And I think the fact that you can reach out to so many more people now through social media, that is something that is a bit of a game changer. But what I'm interested in is, when did you actually start using social media as your form of activism, like your primary form of activism?
Yeah, good question. Probably around, I think I took it seriously maybe 2 years ago, I would say. I made the page originally, I would say about 3 or 4 years ago. And the original intention of that page was actually just to be a clothing brand. That's what I envisioned it at the start. It wasn't supposed to be what it turned into today. I didn't know what I wanted to do after school, and I went like backpacking, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go find myself while I go backpacking the entire world. And then I came back and I'm like, well, I still don't know what I want to do. But the only passion that I kind of ever had in high school, which is when I went vegan, was animal rights and veganism. And so I was in my head, I was like, I feel like this is the only thing I can do, but veganism isn't a job. So how can I somehow monetize this passion? Obviously, I need to make money, but I also want to get a message out there. So I think in my head, I was like, the best option for me is just try create a clothing brand from scratch and then see what happens. So I think I probably worked on it for about a year, the clothing brand, and then built up a following of around like 1,000 people, which I was so stoked with. I was like, oh my God, this thing's going to be like massive. It's going to be so sick. And then I released it, and I think I only had like 2 or 3 people buy the clothing, and it's like a year's worth of work. And much respect to the people who bought those clothing. Thank you so much. Probably just mum and dad, to be honest. But I was just like, oh my God, man, so much work for that. And then I remember calling up my mum, and I was crying, and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, this is the only passion that I've ever had. And then she was like, oh, just keep going. Don't worry about it. And I remember when I was, I continued on, and I remember posting a meme, and then that meme got like 30 likes instead of my normal 5 or 6. And something just like clicked in my brain. I was like, oh, this is how you can reach people. And it's through being like, whether it's humor, whether it's being, authentic. And back then I was creating really kind of like professional photos of clothing. And I remember having just like a moment, and I was like, I don't even like looking at this stuff. Like myself online, I don't care for looking for like professional photos of clothing and stuff. I would rather someone funny throw it at someone's head and then like market it like that. And it was just a pivotal moment where I was like, oh, if I can reach people like this is what I should do. And I kind of pivoted then into content creation, and kind of had the clothing brand on the back of that. So I kind of just like, I don't know why, just like discarded it. And I was like, all right, let me just focus on content creation, because this is actually fun to me. I really enjoyed it. And then slowly, I think, built up the page. I mean, it did, I can't remember how fast it went up, but it went a lot, like my following, whatever, went up a lot faster than anticipated when I started kind of focusing just on content creation instead of like a brand. And then I was able to also do like the clothing, like release it after kind of having a name out there, which was really nice. And I was really grateful for my community to even be able to do that. So yeah, that's a long yap for you.
That's all right. I wanted to actually quickly go back onto something, because you share something very in common with Mackenzie. You said that you started being vegan in high school. So as a young man growing up in high school and saying I'm vegan, how did that happen? How did that go with you?
Yeah, honestly, it wasn't too difficult for me. And the reasoning why, I think, is because I had a great support system. Like my mom was originally vegetarian, so I don't think I ever even saw her eat meat. And because of that, I didn't care too much about what my peers said. Because when I went vegan, my mum went vegan, my brother did, her partner did, and like it was a massive ripple effect on my family. So it made it a lot easier in high school, where I didn't really have to think too much for myself of what to eat every single day. Like mum was cooking my meals, and then my friends just kind of accepted it. Obviously, I would try and be like, yo, boys, this shit's happening, man. It's bad. And they were like, oh, well, I don't care. And then we're like, so I think I was silenced for quite a while in high school, which was, I think that's just teenagers and how how they would react to something like that, where it's like, oh, I don't really give a shit, dude. I don't even know why you care. So I found it really difficult to speak up back then. And then obviously, as I kind of got out of my shell, I was able to speak up a lot more. But in all honesty, like most of my friends were pretty good with it. There'll be a couple comments that are just, calling me a soy boy or gay or whatever it is, just like, all right, man, cool. And then you just move on. So in all honesty, I think it was pretty good in comparison to, I think, a lot of other people who have it, where they don't have that support system. Like I get so many messages from younger kids being like, I really want to be vegan, but my parents won't let me. And I think that makes me so sad every time I read something like that, because they aren't in control. Like, unless they're buying their own groceries, they can't do anything about it. So I was really lucky to have someone in my family who was willing to support my decision. Yeah,
that's amazing. I had a lot of family support as well, but kind of in a different way, more of like the emotional support. And, no one in my family went vegan, and I didn't have any friends that were vegan, but my parents were like, okay, well, let's take you to a dietitian and make sure that you're going to be getting all the nutrients you need. But yeah, I started cooking for myself at, I think, like 12 years old. So there's so many other skills that I just had to develop along the way.
I got to say, I am so envious of you guys having the support. Like when my family discovered that I had gone vegan, no support. Like my mother said, "You're not a vegan, are you?" It's like, yeah, have you not noticed? Like, all the times that I've been coming back to visit, I don't eat any of your food, and I don't eat cheese, I don't eat meat, I don't drink the milk, and I bring my own stuff. And she went, oh, okay, now I'm going to have to cook vegan food. It's like, no, I'll just cook my own.
Yeah, my dad still sends me photos of him going fishing, and I'm like, Dad, man, I've been fucking vegan for a decade, my guy. Like, what are we doing? And he'll tell me, yeah, Jake went out fishing last weekend, mate, caught this big fish. I'm like, do you know what I do? Like, for work? Like, what? Are you in my life at all? It's crazy. That man is just blind to all these things.
That's funny. Yeah, I've got brothers that go to the rodeo, go fishing, dad fishing as well. So yeah, it's all around us, and we have no choice but to just, I guess, keep doing what we're doing and try and block all of that out, and know that there are people online who are receptive to the message. And I think actually family and friends are the hardest to take that message of veganism on board. I think they're not as receptive to hearing it from people that they know. That's been my experience anyway.
It's really sad that your parents and your friends are the trolls.
Yeah.
But like, we've seen a lot of your persona online. So what we'd like to know a little bit, and you've told us a little bit about this, but who is Jakob as a person? So outside of social media, who are you? I'm a pretty normal guy. I go to the gym in the morning, get a little workout in. I enjoy rock climbing. I enjoy playing video games. I have like my friend circle that I try and see every second weekend. I have my brother and my family that I try and see as often as I can. I think I'm pretty usual, like 25-year-old dude, just apart from like the whole social media thing. I think I don't really do anything crazy. I mainly stay, I mainly like just work from home and go out when I want to. I'm fortunate enough now that I can like go to a park and work, which is nice. I don't have to stay at home where it's like depressing as hell all the time. So it's nice to be able to do that. But honestly, I think I'm pretty regular dude. I don't know what else.
Fair enough. I think it's it's really funny when you actually talk to people who have such an online persona, because behind all of that is just an everyday person. And we often forget that when people are not necessarily a celebrity, I don't know if that's the right word, but they're a public figure. Yeah. I'd love to dive into your social media skills, because you have great skills. I'm wondering, is that something you learnt yourself, or did you do some kind of education? How did you hone your content creation skills?
Yeah, no previous education on any of that stuff. I mean, I did film and TV in grade 12, but I don't think I passed it. So that was kind of funny. I think it honestly just came down to having a passion and wanting to be better. So over time, it was really just rinse and repeat and trial and error. So, I would script write, and then I would put the camera over here and be like, okay, this angle looks cool. This goes to this beat. But I have no previous experience in filming, script writing, editing, any of that stuff. I just have a passion for creating something cool and for animal rights as well. So if I have somewhat of a talent in something, I want to be able to utilize that to help animals if I can. Because I think that also keeps me going. Where if I was to just create content that I thought was just cool and there wasn't any meaning behind it, I think I would have stopped by now. I think like this kind of gives me purpose, and where it's like, there's always something that you have that you can create, where it's like, there's so many things happening to animals and so many different topics that you can focus on. So I think, it honestly just keeps me going, just being able to do that. But I can't, anyway, go on, sorry.
Well, your content is so original. Like, I don't think I've seen a creator who does content like you. So that's really cool. So where do you get your ideas from and your inspiration?
I'm a bit screwed up in the head, that's all.
We all are, don't worry.
My inspiration, honestly, it just comes from random places sometimes. Sometimes I'll just hear a song. Like today I heard a song, I don't know if you guys know Joji.
I'm feeling really old now.
No, I don't know who that is either.
Anyway, it's got like a cool beat, and then it goes into like a big bass drop. It's like boom, and then all of a sudden when I hear that, I'm just thinking of like floating through the sky or something, or like going down into a deep pit. And so I think my main ideas come from music. I'll hear something and then I'll try and create something from that, or else I'll just watch something, or maybe I'll hear something or a word. I don't know. It just like pops up into my head sometimes. I don't really know how to explain it. It's just random things. I'll see something and then I'm like, oh, that could look cool if it was done this way. Or instance, like what could be helpful for people that are coming up, I guess, is like if they're interested in vegan content, is if there's a viral concept, just kind of don't like copy it exactly, but use it as inspiration for your own stuff, and then turn it into like some vegan thing. That's often what I do with if there's content out there that I've seen going viral, is I'll just kind of put my own spin on it and make it cool.
Hey, a quick break from the episode to let you know that the Vegan Compass podcast now has merch.
You can finally rep the show with our new tees, hoodies, tote bags, and mugs.
It's the perfect way to support the show and spark a few conversations.
Just head to our website or check the link in the show notes to grab yours today.
All right, back to the episode. I was just about to say that too, because I work in social media, and something, I've noticed that you do really well is from your own ideas, and you execute it so well that it goes viral because of something that is so original, and it's because people haven't seen it before. And it's so different to what a lot of other people are sharing on social media at the moment, which is just copying all of these trends. So as you've said, putting your own spin on it and your unique point of view, something that makes it stand out from what everyone else is seeing, is just that point of difference that makes people want to engage with it.
Well, I think I've got to say here, my two favourite content creators are yourself and Menke.
Yeah.
Because you are, he's so cool, and he's such a lovely guy as well. But you guys just seem to have that, like you're both doing different things, but you have that inspiration, that uniqueness about what you're creating that sets you apart from all the other creators, influencers, whatever you want to call them. So I'd just like to say congratulations. You're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I love Menke's stuff as well. When I first saw his content, I was like, dude, how are you doing this? Like all the edits and stuff, I was like, this is crazy. So I have honestly no idea how he does half of his stuff, and then he messages me the exact same thing, and it's kind of funny.
Have you done his course? Or he actually did an online thing. I've actually got to watch the video he sent me about how he does create his stuff. So yeah,
I was
he's really
supposed
cool.
to be involved in that, but I had some problems at the time that I wasn't able to do it, unfortunately. But yeah, it would be honestly cool to go through that course and see how he does it.
Yeah, he's amazing. I take my hat off to both of you. You just do incredible work.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm really curious. Obviously, you're touching on topics that are quite heavy, animal abuse. How do you keep it engaging while also having that element of truth to it in order for non-vegans to be interested in it as well?
How do I keep it engaging? Well, I think a lot of the time I don't try and make it known that it's going to be a vegan message at the very start. Because a lot of the time, if a non-vegan, and I put myself in non-vegan shoes normally before I release anything, and I'm like, would I want to watch this through? And if I have someone at the very beginning, saying somewhat on the lines of like, this is going to be like a vegan video, obviously don't say that, but I'm just like, why would I want to watch that? Like, I already don't care about veganism. Why would I want to watch this? So maybe it's like, you could put a comment up of someone saying something that's like an insult to you. Maybe it's like, soy boy or whatever it is. And then you kind of use that to your advantage and then bring other people in with that. But yeah, as I said, like before I release anything, I really just put myself in other people's shoes, whether it's vegans or non-vegans. And I just ask myself, okay, is this entertaining? Would I want to watch this? And is this like a good message overall? Because you have to kind of, like, I have obviously like a vegan following, and I need to use them as a leverage to get that message out to other people. So I got to make sure that it's a good message to them, but also a good message to all the other non-vegans as well. I don't even know if that answers your question, but yeah.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely nailing it. I'm listening to everything you're saying as someone who works in social media, and I'm like, yes, 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 yes. Because what I'd say to people all the time is like, you have to think about who this particular post is for. You might have different subsets of your target audience, and this particular post is targeting vegans. You know that they're going to share it to their story because it's something that they want to put their name against, and then their non-vegan friends and family are going to see it. So in a roundabout way, it's getting to the non-vegans, but it has to also resonate with the vegans versus something that's more explicitly for non-vegans as well. So yeah, interesting stuff.
So as we know, the algorithm gets changed all the time. How do you navigate those changes, or do you do anything differently, or do you just keep doing what you do?
I think no matter what, the algorithm kind of favors original content. So, if I'm copying someone else's content all the time, I think the algorithm's going to eventually get bored of that. And I mean, when we talk about algorithm, really all we're talking about is what's on people's feeds, because that's all the algorithm is. And a lot of the time, people don't love to see content that's recycled. They want some type of originality to it. If I was to say, like, if there's some viral piece going on, don't just copy and paste it, put some type of spin on it. But yeah, sorry, I've just like lost my train of thought. I think I have like ADHD where I'm like back and forth again. So just say the question again and I'll be in there.
Well, it's more just about, have you changed your sort of content to follow the algorithm?
Look, Instagram, I understand their algorithm quite well. TikTok, I have no idea. I post on there and run away because it scares me over there. Same with YouTube. Yeah, right? Like, same with YouTube.
I'm just like,
I don't understand.
Yeah, TikTok, no thanks.
Yeah, TikTok, I think I maybe have like the exact same content has been posted, and sometimes it'll be 5,000 views, sometimes it'll be 5 million. Like, it's just so random. It doesn't make sense to me. Where it's like Instagram, I kind of have an idea now of if something is going to do well and something won't do well. And I think that's just through trial and error of seeing what type of content works best and what doesn't work. But for most part, I don't really change anything dependent on how I think the algorithm's going to go. In all honesty, I think I've gone the other direction. I used to really care about like things going viral and getting the most reach as possible, but I wasn't enjoying myself. And so I kind of wanted to go back a little bit because I wasn't loving it. And if I'm to do this for a long time, then I have to love what I do. And I don't want to be a slave to the algorithm. So I just create whatever I want to create and then throw it out there.
I love that approach so much, especially as activists. We're copying the burnout from every angle. So many of us, we're all struggling this evening slump. So many of us are exposed to burnout and animal cruelty and compassion fatigue from all these different angles, and social media is just another one of them. So yeah, we absolutely have to look after our mental health as well and make sure we're being sustainable in whatever we do. So I'm glad that you were able to recognize that and sort of change your trajectory.
Yeah, I think that's one thing, because of course I've been like a bit of a hardcore activist for a long time now, and of course a lot of the people that I follow will post the most graphic stuff. And so many times I just have to put my phone down and just walk away and go, no, I've seen it all. I don't need to see it again. But then occasionally I go, no, I do need to see it again and get that fire burning inside my belly again to really start doing more about it. But yeah, again, I just love your work. And I love the fact that you're not chasing the algorithm. You're just being you.
Yeah.
And I think that's really worked for you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think the hard part of, there's so many people on social media that are sharing, and we need this, like sharing those animal cruelty videos and animal farming and all that stuff. And I think it's difficult because they're already going to have a vegan following, but vegans don't want to see that stuff. Like, I don't want to see it. That's why I don't follow most pages that do post that type of content, because I'm like, man, I'm already exposed to so much every single day. I don't want to see that. So it kind of just gets trapped like in this echo chamber where it doesn't really reach vegans, but it doesn't really reach non-vegans either. It's kind of just going back and forth to like the same people every single time, which is quite rough, because obviously that stuff needs to be seen. But then that's when you can get original and create something from those videos that isn't just showing animal cruelty. Build a story behind it, build something from it where people will actually be engaged and not just show animal cruelty, as well as like all these platforms like Meta and TikTok hate anything to do with animal cruelty. They'll just censor it. I've had a bunch of my videos that I put a ton of work into get censored, which is really annoying. So yeah, I mean, and that's why I also have to be careful about what I post as well, where I don't want to, I would love to be able to create a story and then have love is a bit of a weird word for this, have at the end of it like a cow with its throat getting slit and it's all graphic and it's bad. But chances are it's just going to get censored and it's not going to go to anyone, or I'll get flagged and potentially my account might be taken down. So I really don't like with these platforms that you really have to tiptoe around these topics. I would have loved if they had some type of rule in their content or whatever, that if it's educational, so if if that content is just for education, that you're allowed to show these things and you wouldn't be censored. I think that's really important for hopefully that these platforms eventually do it, but I doubt it.
Well, I think what's interesting, and it's great that you brought up the whole there's the afternoon slump, the censorship issue, because I've been flagged quite a few times. I got suspended a couple of times. But what's interesting is if I was to put it up as if I was a hunter, it wouldn't get flagged. It would be allowed through because I'm a hunter. And well, I'm not, but you know what I mean. It's like they seem to get a free pass, where when we're exposing the worst of the worst, we get flagged, we get banned or suspended. So yeah, it's an interesting world in which we live.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to know a little bit more about how much work actually goes into the posts that you create. Like on average, how much time are you spending on one post?
I mean, obviously it's going to be different for every video, but some of them take a really long time, for instance, like days to try and figure out, because if I have an idea and I know it can work well, I don't want to half-ass it and I don't want to rush it, because that could make the difference between 100,000 people seeing it or 10 million people seeing it. So I really like to put in the work into an idea if I think it could really reach people. So in all honesty, maybe just like a normal post a day or two. I mean, the majority of work goes into pre-planning. It goes into like figuring it all out. The ideas are the hardest part. If I had like a little genie that I could just rub a little lamp and a little genie came out, and then he could tell me all the ideas and I can go film it and edit it, I would be, stacked with a bunch of different content. But the hardest part is getting the idea for good content that could potentially reach people about these animals is the most difficult part. Sometimes editing probably takes the longest part. Editing will take me, I don't know, let's say on average, like 6 hours maybe or something, which I know sounds kind of crazy if it's like a 30-second video. But for instance, I did that. I'm not sure if you guys saw it. It was like an Incredibles video, like the cartoon, The Incredibles. And it was a whole bunch of different, like I had to green screen everything, even though I didn't own a green screen. I had to try and green screen it. And that probably took me like 4 or 5 days to create that. And I think that was like 40 or 50 seconds. So I guess like a fair bit of work goes into it. Unfortunately, I wish I was a lot faster at doing that stuff. But I also like to trial and error different things. If I think because I'll export it, I'll send it to my friend. I'll be like, "What do you think about this?" And he's like, "Oh, this isn't that good." So I'll redo it and I'll change it and I'll send it to someone else, and blah blah blah. The cycle continues.
Yeah, don't you hate it when you send something to someone that you've worked on for so long and you think, "Yeah, I've nailed it," and they come back and go, "Yeah, it's all right."
In all honesty, I love it because I hate when people say I love it, because I'm like, no, there's something wrong with it. Like, you gotta tell me honestly. That's why I never send it to my mum, because mum's always like, "Oh my God, Jacob, best thing I've ever seen in my entire life." and then I'll have to send it to one of my close friends. I'll be like, "Dude, be honest, is this the worst thing you've seen in your entire life?" And then I can improve like that.
Yeah.
Now, I love that. And yes, I love the fact that your mum tells you that everything you do is brilliant. But you now have over 300,000 followers across the platforms. Is that growth something that happened organically, or have you been really strategic about your approach for that?
I bought them all.
Yeah, they're all in some Asian country and they're all sitting there on the computer.
That's funny. No, I think it's I'm maybe now a bit more strategic of what I post, but in the beginning I didn't really care. I just wanted to make content that made people laugh or resonated with people or had a message, and I think it kind of just grew organically through that, because I think maybe people were like, "Oh, this guy's just doing it for fun." Like, I didn't make a single cent from any of this for years. I didn't work with brands. I didn't do any of that stuff, just because I wanted to create, because I love to create and throw a message out there. And then I think it probably reached a point where I was like, I probably now have, because of having a platform, I probably have a bit of responsibility and therefore an obligation to create things that I know can better the world, instead of just creating funny content for vegans, which, I love to do. It's funny stuff, but I need that purpose still in me of, if I can actually have an impact on this world, I want to do that. And I'm fortunate now to have a platform where I do have a voice and I can speak up for, all the voiceless, which I'm very grateful to have.
I would love to know if there have been any positive experiences or sort of unexpected opportunities that have come up for you from having this social media presence.
So I think mainly through social media, I've been able to be connected with so many different people from all walks of life that, I used to, I look up to and stuff. And then they message me and they're like, "Dude, I love your stuff." And I'm like, "What? That's crazy. That's so cool." For instance, the other day I watched this documentary. I'm not going to call them out or anything. I'll just say it was a general documentary. And then they contacted me and they were like, "Oh, do you have a minute? Because we would love some advice on social media and stuff." I'm like, "Bro, I watched your documentary 4 years ago and now you're asking me for advice. That's crazy." So I think things like that, where like those types of opportunities arise to meet these types of people, and I'm very grateful. And I don't know, it's just kind of cool, to be honest.
Yeah, that's really cool. Have you ever had anyone say that they've gone vegan after watching your videos?
Yeah, thankfully I have. Yeah.
Good.
I I get a lot of like DMs and stuff from people that was like, whether it's my content or someone else's, or maybe they've seen a little short or something and they message me like, hey, you've helped me go vegan, or I saw this and you helped me go vegan, and then I sent it to my mum and now she's vegan, and it's a big ripple, which is really cool. But yeah, I definitely appreciate like I don't look at my DMs all the time, because a lot of time it's just like I don't even want to look in there. But sometimes I look for like the nice ones where it's kids saying, oh, you helped me go vegan or something like that, and I saw that, which is really nice.
I love the fact that you're reaching a younger demographic, because, I mean, this is the thing. We need to educate the high school students, the primary school students, not that they can be on social media, but that's where we need to be building the education for the people for the future, because they are the adults of the future. Trying to change the minds of adults can be really challenging. So students, high school students, they're more open to this kind of content, especially the way that you're putting it out. But what do you actually think changes minds? Is it like emotion or logic or repeated exposure? What do you think would be the catalyst?
I think it would be a bit of a emotion and repeated exposure. I think I often wonder like what made me go vegan back in the day, and it was purely just based of my emotion. I got angry, I got sad when I saw all these things. So a lot of the time I try and play into that with the videos that I create, where it'll be something really happy at the start, you have no idea what's happening, and then there's a cut, and then all of a sudden there's dead animals everywhere, or it's just a reality what happens when they purchase these products. So I honestly think emotion plays a big part in change, and I really try to play on people's little heartstrings whenever I can. Because I think that once you walk away from a video, is, let's say like a year later, you don't, like, if it was to impact you, you don't necessarily remember what you saw, but you remember how it made you feel. And that's kind of when I first watched these documentaries. I don't really remember anymore what I saw. I just remember how I felt, because I remember going to the gym after that and just punching the punching bag and hating everyone. So I think I just try and play on people's emotions with videos as much as I can.
So yeah, with the whole emotional side of it, and I'm going to be jumping a bit ahead in the topic area of what we want to cover, the sort of mental health, your mental health behind what you're doing. How are you actually coping with that?
I'm not. No, I had I'm pretty transparent about all that stuff now. About like over a year ago, I had a really bad anxiety attack, and it lasted for a really long time. And that's kind of when I was like, oh shit, I got to get my mental health in check. And then after that, started seeing someone and really working on myself, and then understanding what matters and what doesn't matter. And I get, this is probably like the most common question of like, oh, how do you deal with it? How do you deal with all of the the comments, the hate, and everything? And I just don't let it affect me anymore. It's just, to me, it's words on a screen. And I think you also have to look at it as, I'm not in an echo chamber if I'm getting hate. Like, this is the people that I need to reach. Because if it's all just, oh, love your content, love your stuff, man, where it's like, thanks, but I have a message that I need to get out, and it's not getting to the right people, and it's just coming around in a circle, and it's like, that's not what I need. And I think I just try and concentrate on the things that I actually have control over. So I don't have control over what somebody says to me. It's just whatever. But I have control over how I react. So if I let that get to me, then that's a problem, right? So I just was like, okay, that doesn't matter. What you have to say, it does not matter to me whatsoever. Unless you're providing me like some type of constructive criticism, where it's someone that I look up to or something. But if you're a random stranger on the internet calling me gay or whatever, I'm just like, cool, bro.
Yeah.
So do you get, like, I also follow the Bearded Vegan on Facebook. and he has regular trolls. Do you have like regular trolls names that pop up and you go, oh, it's you again?
To be honest, like I don't really even look. It's I mean, I'm sure I do. They'd probably be out there. I know, actually, no, there's a guy on TikTok. Oh, if I remembered his name, I would say it because I love him. He just posts like all my posts, but he's like, "This is cringe" at the top, and he just reposts it. And every time I see it posted, I just go into the comments and I say, "I love you, man." And he gets so angry because of it. I just like you just rage bait them. It's kind of funny. But honestly, like I don't really check that stuff that much. I normally, like, if I post a video, I look at the comments for a couple of hours where I can see like, okay, that's my following, and that's all my homies messaging me and, you know, appreciating it or whatever, or pushing it out there. So I say thank you, and then after that it kind of dripples away to the algorithm, and it just big explosion. It goes to shit, and I'm like, I don't need to deal with that. I just give it to someone.
I think that's a really healthy attitude to have, because we can get so absorbed in what other people think of us and sort of taking that on when we don't need to. So I'm sorry that you had to go through the anxiety, but it sounds like it was actually something that has helped you to, you know, develop thicker skin or better coping mechanisms in order to keep pushing with your mission and have that long-term impact. So I'm glad you're through the other side of that now, and the message that you share is something that so many of us online activists can learn from. So thank you for being vulnerable about it.
And I think going back to Ianthe, we had Ianthe, who's an amazing vegan psychologist on. She was our very first guest on the Vegan Compass podcast. And she has this strategy of like, don't get into online arguments. If you disagree with somebody, just go in there, say something, and then turn off notifications for that post, because then you're not going, oh, I wonder what they've said, or, you know, you get a notification saying, oh, they've said something, and then you go back in, you got to fire back. So I think I've been doing that, and it's like the peace of mind is like I've gone in there and I've hammered it, and then I've just gone turn off notifications.
And the reality of like actually changing someone's mindset through a couple comments on Instagram, very low chance. I'm sure it's happened before, but I mean, they're just there for a couple of likes and a couple of ha-has and hee-hees, and it's like, I don't need to deal with that. I can just throw whatever I need to throw out there and then let the algorithm do the rest.
Well, I want to take you back just slightly to a question just about activism. So do you think that social media activism is enough in this day and age on its own, or does it risk becoming a substitute for real world action? Should we be looking at all actions combining together?
Yeah, I think you would need both. And you can combine both anyway, right? Like you can, like for instance, a guy who I really like is Cliff Grant. He sets up a camera and he's on the street and he's interviewing people about veganism and promoting it like that. I think the way that I originally looked at it was that, okay, on the street, it's great because you can have genuine and real conversations with people. And I think you can make a real difference doing that. But it's also, I can't then contact Billy Bob from the UK who's also not vegan. So in my head, I want to make the biggest amount of impact that I can possibly have. And the only way to do that is through social media. But again, not everyone has social media. Not everyone is going to see this message. So that's why you need to be, boots on the ground. The boys are out there, big signs up. Hey man, go vegan. So I think it's definitely a mix of both. But I think if you have the ability to do social media or the skills and you are interested in veganism, I think, I think I have like an obligation to push this message because obviously other people are doing it as well, but this message really needs to get out to as many people as possible, because I think the reality is that most people believe in the vegan values. They just don't practice it, or they don't even know it. So it's just helping them recognize that. And I think you need both forms of online and on the ground as well.
Yeah, I love that answer. I would love to know if you've got some advice for anyone who's maybe starting at zero or just starting to get serious about their social media advocacy. What would you tell them to focus on?
I would focus on what you're good at the very start, or what you're passionate about. So, I've seen people who are artists make music about veganism. I think if I was to start all over again, I would really concentrate on the value you bring. So, what you can provide to an audience, is that education, is that a story through whatever content you're producing? That's kind of what I think about, is like, okay, that's why a lot of these, like these plant-based chefs and food accounts go like really, really big, get millions of followers, because they're providing something to an audience. It's okay, oh, I would love to see more of that food, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to follow this person because that's what I want to see more of. So like, what value can you bring to an audience? And for me, I think that's mainly just education. And I often love to do like a bit of storytelling as well, so it's some type of entertainment. So I think if I was to redo anything, it would really just be focusing on, okay, what can I give to the person viewing this video? What can I supply them? But yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love that. But do you think, going back into your own personal content, do you think your content is more effective for non-vegans or for strengthening the vegan movement?
I think at the start, it was basically just for vegans. If any non-vegans were watching it, it was like, get out, man. You're not welcome here. And then after that, I kind of realized like, I don't want this to be an echo chamber. So something here has to change, and I got to start spreading a message. So I think at its stage now, it's probably for I'm able to reach non-vegans now, where before it was a little bit of an echo chamber. But now I have the ability, because I have that base of those vegans who share that content around. I'm able to, I hate the word like leverage or anything, because it sounds like very tactical. I'm not that type of person, but I'm able to share it to them, and then they can share it to more people, where it gets to all these non-vegans
in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
I want to know more about the vegan clothing line, because I actually didn't realize that that was the initial focus of your page, because I only saw the, recent, a few months ago, clothing line drop that you did, which was really cool. So yeah, tell us more about that.
I mean, I created the clothing line whenever I started the page, which was 3 or 4 years ago. And then after a couple years, I had a little bit of a following. So I was like, oh, let me actually release this properly and we'll see how it goes. And then that ended up selling out. And I was like, well, that's kind of crazy. And then I was like, all right, let's do it again. And so I created it again, which took me a long time because I am stubborn and procrastinate everything. And when did we release that? Around Christmas time, I think we released. Yeah, I opened up the website again, and then I honestly just, if I wanted to make a lot of money, I would have pretty much made all the clothing for females, because like that's 80-something% of my following as well. But I really wanted to wear all this stuff. So I was like, all right, stuff the money, bro. I just want to look good. I want men and women and everyone to be able to wear it. I don't care like who it is. And I ended up making like 4 or 5 different designs. I basically had like the vision, and then I hired an artist to make some of it. Most of the tech stuff I can do myself. I'm not a great graphic designer, but I've learned how to do a bunch of stuff on there. And then released that around Christmas time and had a bunch of orders. And now I honestly also kind of did it because I wanted to go to the vegan markets here in Brisbane and meet a bunch of people, which I thought would be really fun as well. So I've been able to do that a couple of weekends now, which is really, really cool. Just because I think if you're in an online world, it can just be like nothing really exists, right? Like you put this out there and heaps of people see it, but it's like I'm in my house in my room and nothing's really happening. So it's kind of nice to be able to go out there and actually see some type of impact that you have, and meet the people that you convinced to be vegan, or love content or whatever it is. It's really nice to be able to go out and do that now that I have like a little stall that I can set up, which is cool.
Well, you're really blessed because I lived on the Gold Coast for 25 years, and so I know Liesl and Johnny, who run the vegan markets, very well. You are so blessed that you have the best vegan markets in Australia up there. It's a great place to connect with people. But what I want to know now is we're looking into the future. So is there something that you're currently working on that you can share with us, or are there top secret things that you don't want to say?
I think I'm just a very impulsive guy I don't really have anything that I created a video today, which is about crocodile farming, which I've never done before. But I don't think it's been mentioned too many times. Obviously it's been mentioned a bunch of times, but I've never mentioned it. I haven't really seen much about crocodile farming and skinning them for, how do you pronounce them? Hermes,
yeah.
And Louis Vuitton, who are, they have, I think it's like 2 or 3 different farms in the Northern Territory where they're farming these crocodiles, and like no one really knows what's going on. So I was like, this could be kind of a cool idea to expose them and have a bit more pressure. But in all honesty, no, not anything that I'm really working on. I have a bunch of ideas that kind of pop into my head, and I'm like, I don't know if it's good, I don't know if it's bad, but I'm very impulsive. I'm like, okay, let's just do this video today. Like, my notes app is disgusting. It just scrolls and scrolls and scrolls forever. I wish I could say I was working on like this big documentary maybe one day. I would love to do like a short film or something one day. That would be really cool. Maybe when I'm like a millionaire and I have a bunch of money to be able to do that stuff, that'd be fun, but nothing crazy like that right now.
You don't need to be a millionaire to create a great short film. You could do it. I guarantee you.
Yeah, exactly. But if it's like a documentary, unfortunately, then I need a bunch of money.
So do you have any final pieces of advice, or I guess words of wisdom for vegans, aspiring content creators, anyone?
Go vegan, stay vegan. Content creators, man, just be authentic, be yourself. Doesn't matter what other people say. If you got a message, throw it out there. People are going to judge you no matter what you do. So you might as well be yourself and have fun with it and actually create something that you want to create and make an impact on the world.
Oh, wow. It's just, so many times we say to each other when we get off these interviews, like just how inspired we feel after talking to people like yourself. This has just been a really great chat. You've given us such great information. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining us here on the podcast.
Thank you guys for having me. It's an absolute honor. I've really enjoyed the chat.
Yeah, well, just thank you for being who you are and being so authentic. I think it's a great message for other young men to see someone healthy, vegan, optimistic, with a lot of passion and motivation. So,
obviously, he can open the door by himself and undo a jar on a lid on a jar. Well, that sort of kind of brings us to the end of just another amazing episode of the Vegan Compass podcast. Thank you so much, Jacob, for being with us. We appreciate your time, and thank you, folks, for viewing or listening. And we look forward to seeing you all again on our next episode.
Thank you so much, everyone. See you next time.
See you later.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this conversation, please let us know by leaving a comment and share this episode with a friend.